Okay. Five, four, three, turn around and sit on your bottom in your chair. Two, I shouldn't hear any sounds. Okay, here we go. Now we are going to be talking about, we've been talking about maps. Now we're talking about population maps. Anybody have any idea what a population map might be?
Oh, I know.
Nope, I'm waiting on somebody that raises their hand appropriately and waits patiently, and it's probably going to be a virtual kid. I always get this pop up at the bottom, and then I can't see what hands are raised. Grace, what do you think a population map might be?
Maybe like the most popular like cities or states that has like it has a big population.
Okay, so a map that shows like the population of the states. Yes. Sean, what do you think?
So the most more popular a state is, it gets like brighter, like hotter.
Okay, so are we talking about popular? Like it's very popular, like, ooh, I love Florida, they got beaches.
Popular.
Woo.
Beaches? Popular.
Are we talking about popular? Lily says we're talking about population. Hang on just a second. What do you mean? Because you're just standing here staring at them. Okay, so then just plug it over here. There's a charger over there, somebody's, I don't know. Okay, again, it's your responsibility to show up with a charged Chromebook, yo. I promise I'll bring a charger next week so that the cart will work. Okay, popular and population are not the same thing. Something that's popular
That's like population.
is something that people really like, that everybody agrees is awesome and cool.
Like it's trending.
It's trending, okay. All right.
Population.
Population, what is population? Samuel Curley.
That's me. That's me.
No, I don't need, hang on. When I call Sam Curley and he says that's me, why did 5 other people say something? I don't know either. Because I'm pretty sure there's only one and only Sam Curley.
Yeah, so population is like how much people, I remember
Go in
like,
the hallway right now. I'm done with your talking. Get out.
so like on the Civil War thing, like there was like people, I remember like there was a map, it was like a population map when we were learning about the Civil War. Like when people started traveling to, where was it, to try to like win the state, it was like
Okay.
populated. And like,
But what is population? Sam says he remembers seeing a population map in the book when we were studying Civil War. Yes, there was one of those. And it talked about how many people were moving like west and moving to all the different states. But what is population?
How many people in a
Lily.
It's like how many people are in each state.
How many people live? Yeah, and it's how many people live in that particular area. Whatever the map is a map of, a population is how many people live there. Zeke.
Okay, so when you like enter a town, like say you're driving and you enter St. Jen, it has a pop, and then it shows the number of people that live in that county.
Okay, you're right. Zeke said, like when you're driving into a town, there's like that rectangular green sign that says like city limits, Crystal City, and then it says pop and a number after it. That pop is short for population, and that number is how many people live there. So if it says, I'm going to give you an example, hang on. I've got my little green road sign, city limits, Festus, I'm making this up, I have no idea.
It's like 119,000 something.
Yeah, this is not right at all. But I would drive past the little green sign on the side of the road, and it says, hang on.
Can you pin yourself so
Yeah, let me pin myself so they can see it too. Festus, backwards for you guys. Population 73,802. Okay, have you guys, raise your hand if you've seen one of those green signs on the side of the road driving somewhere. St. Jen, Festus, St. Louis City, Fenton, wherever you go. Hillsboro. Okay, Sam's just not paying attention.
I
But he did see a population map in the book, so he's at least got some prior background knowledge. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a population map.
Population map?
See what I mean, Red?
Okay, so if we look at this map, guys,
Puerto Rico's really popular.
Jason, just stand right there at the doorway so you're hearing this. Stand inside the doorway. Inside the doorway. On that side. They're right there. Okay, so if I'm looking at this map, I see lots of different colors, and it's a little bit blurry. Sorry about that. But the lighter colors, it says, you guys can't read it, I know. It says less than 10. And it says the average population per square mile. So a square mile is like a square mile. So a mile that way, a mile that way, and then we square it in, okay? Like a square foot would be like this big on the floor. Square mile is a square, and each side of it is a mile long, okay? So how many people live within that square mile? In all of the parts that look white, less than 10 people per square mile. So you go out in the west, there's not a lot of people. And it goes up. The slightly darker is 10 to 39. The light orange is 40 to 88. And then that line is drawn. And it has a darker orange that says 88 to, I think, 150. And then the almost darkest red is 160 to 299. And then the deep red is 300 or more. So if you look at Missouri, where we are, and you look kind of about where St. Louis should be, it is that dark red, darkest red color. 300 or more people live in a square mile in St. Louis. Now that's probably talking about like St. Louis City, because a square mile in Jefferson County, especially a square mile in R7, does not have that many people, unless we're talking about, think about this. I can drive down the highway a little bit, and if I say the square mile that's directly across the street, well, that's a subdivision. So there's a lot of people that live there. And I could drive down the road a little bit and hit Timberwolf and say, what about this square mile? There's a lot of people that live there, including Rye. We talk about Josie subdivision, but I know that Rye's house is in Timberwolf. Is your house in Timberwolf?
It
Used to be.
Yeah, I live across the street now.
But if I go down a little bit, there's a golf course over here where nobody's ever at.
Right.
If I measure that
And the
square
summer
mile, it's like fenced in. It's like nobody can go there.
It's a private golf.
It's a private golf course that you can't go to. But if I measured that square mile, it would literally be 0. So it averages out. So when we see that we're probably close to and on the edge of that dark red, you've got to think it's an average, okay? Because each square mile might be different. If I'm measuring inside of a subdivision, it's going to be high, but there might be a field, an empty field across the subdivision that has none. So it kind of averages out. Does that make sense with everybody? Okay.
Why is
Puerto Rico so?
And so we look at California, Washington, Florida, and definitely the Northeast, and up by here, Chicago.
Where's Puerto Rico?
Very, very population dense. Meaning if we say that the population density, if it's dense, it means that the people are very close together. We're talking about these dark red areas are dense. People are living on top of people. Probably like if you think about the city, it's like lots of apartment buildings where lots of people live in one single building.
Yes.
Right, lots of families live in the exact same building. Riley.
So in the back of Timberwolf, me, my dad, and my brother, sometimes before we go to bed, we like walk around and ride our bikes. And in the back of Timberwolf, there's this one house that's built right on top of another. And my dad's like, ooh, I would be so mad if I lived there. They're like
Really?
that close.
Okay.
Yeah. But
All right.
one house is like really.
Yeah, when you go in the city, a lot of the houses don't even have yards. They're just right on top of each other. I hear somebody raising their hand over here.
Talk about New York.
Anybody?
I did, but I answered my own question.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, think about this. We know that this big red blob right here in Missouri is St. Louis, right? And that makes sense to us. We know that St. Louis has a lot more people in it than way down here. So if I go out here into all of these white and very light yellow parts, do you think there are a lot of big cities out there?
No.
Are there any cities at all? What kind of land is this probably? Fiona, what do you think?
Well, I know that I've traveled up kind of that way before. We've traveled out that way, and really it's just like a lot of farmland and grass.
Desert.
And like, not really a desert, but basically just like a land.
I've been around there before.
Okay. Now,
Grass and trees growing.
yes, Fiona said she traveled out that way a little bit, and what she noticed was lots of farmland. Correct. This does not count where the cows live. This is counting people. Okay? Now, Zeke says also we do have a little bit of desert land out that way
In Arizona.
in Arizona. If you remember when we learned about our states and our regions, there are some deserts out that way.
Yeah, my dad's about that.
Okay, so I'm reading a book right now called 24 Hours of Nowhere. In nowhere is their town, and it's in the middle of nowhere in Arizona, and there's like no people there. There's one subdivision of trailers, and that's it. So there's like
I have no idea.
people.
Yeah, there's really not many
It's
places
bad.
out
So I'm
that
reading
far.
this book called 24 Hours of Nowhere, and it's out in Arizona, in a town called Nowhere. And there's literally like nothing.
Okay. All right, pause for a second.
Can I be a-
So, if we see that this white area is probably farmland and desert and places where people don't really live, where would the big cities mostly be at?
At the bottom of the earth.
Where are all of my big cities? Most of the big cities in the U.S., where do they seem to be located?
In the
On the eastern
east.
side.
On the eastern side, Gray says, and he's right, on this east coast.
So that's
That is
where it was-
definitely, now, is there some heavy population out on the west coast?
Yeah,
Yes,
California.
California. But most of our biggest cities are in the east and along the
I know why.
northeast. Okay? Why do you think that is?
Because we haven't, that's where we were first, then we traveled west.
That's where we were first and we traveled west. But not everybody went west, right?
Wait a second, we just learned.
And the people that went west originally were going because of the California gold rush. And a lot of this in between just never really got filled in. And it's good farmland. So that's what it continued to be used as today.
My grandparents
Now,
California lived on-
You guys have a worksheet. Virtual friends, listen carefully because you need to do on your own what looks like on yours pages 4 and 5. So virtual friends, what I'm showing you right now, this map that says population density, and then the questions on page 5 go with it. That's what you need to turn in. These questions on page 3, you do not need to do those. You only need to use the map on page 4 and answer the questions on page 5. Okay, everybody got that? Okay. So that's all I have for you guys today as far as population maps. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I think learning stuff like
Josie, yes ma'am.
This is kind of about social studies, but or writing. But can I have for my writing paper the Abraham Lincoln?
I already did it.
And Cam, you asked about somebody, Larry Hovis. I honestly, off the top of my head, don't even know who that is. I'm fine with that. Who is Larry Hovis, Cam?
He was on Hogan's Heroes. He's my third cousin.
Okay.
Who is he?
All right. And okay. We are done with social studies for the day.
What do we do next?
And, well, you're going to do a worksheet. All right.